Over the last couple of days, we've seen the first recipients of the new Pfizer vaccine against SARS-CoV-2. So I wanted to make a short video to explain how this mRNA vaccine works. As we all know, the world is currently in the grips of a global pandemic, the likes of which we haven't seen for over 100 years. SARS-CoV-2, the novel coronavirus that causes COVID-19, has swept across the planet. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, with a number of potential vaccines in development. The United Kingdom recently approved the use of the Pfizer mRNA vaccine, and yesterday the first doses were administered. But how does this new type of vaccine actually work? Well, to understand this, we need to know a little bit about basic genetics. The genetic code in our DNA is transcribed into RNA, and specifically messenger RNA. This mRNA is then translated to produce proteins that make up the organism. What scientists have done in this case is to sequence the genetic code of SARS-CoV-2 and identified a part of its genome that helps it make the spike protein, which are these red proteins on the surface of the virus. The spike protein is what allows this virus to bind to our cells and infect them, and it was identified early on as an attractive target for any therapies against COVID-19. The mRNA can be produced in a lab under tightly regulated conditions, but unfortunately mRNA is rapidly broken down by our bodies, so in order to help it reach our cells intact, this mRNA is packaged up inside a lipid nanobody, which is essentially a tiny fat spear that contains the mRNA and protects it. These nanobodies containing the viral mRNA can then be delivered as a vaccine. Once inside our bodies, these nanobodies help the viral mRNA enter our cells. Now remember, this mRNA is only a tiny fragment of the virus's genetic material and only encodes for the spike protein. So we are not producing a whole virus, and there is no risk of a recipient developing COVID-19 as a result of receiving this vaccination. The mRNA leaves the nanobodies as it fuses with our cells, and in the cytoplasm, our own cellular machinery starts to translate this mRNA and produces the spike protein. Now, this spike protein has not been seen by our bodies before, and as a result, it is recognized as foreign. Specialized cells in the immune system, in particular a type of cell called macrophages, are able to engulf cells that are expressing this foreign spike protein. And once engulfed or phagocytosed, the macrophage is able to alert other cells of the immune system. These include B and T lymphocytes, and the macrophage alerts them to the presence of this foreign protein. The B lymphocytes are responsible for producing antibodies against the spike protein, and the T lymphocytes can recognize and destroy cells that have become infected by the virus and express this protein on the surface. So why is this important? Well, on first exposure to the protein, the immune response is actually quite slow and weak. But some of these B and T lymphocytes will become what we call memory cells. That is, they remember the protein they have encountered. So if they see it in our bodies again, they will be able to react much more quickly and help neutralize that threat. The second exposure could be the booster dose of the vaccine that is given approximately 21 days or 3 weeks after the first dose, or if the individual is unlucky enough to encounter the intact SARS-CoV-2 virus, it will be able to recognize the spike protein on the virus surface and react in the same way, and hopefully prevent that individual from becoming ill. The mRNA vaccine is safer for patients as it only encodes for a small part of the virus, so you do not need to introduce an intact virus into the host. They are cheaper and faster to produce, which offers great hope for the future. However, there are some logistical challenges with mRNA vaccines needing to be kept frozen, which could be problematic in some poorer countries if they are unable to transport the vaccine and get it to where it's needed. As yet, we also do not know how long the protection from these vaccines will last. So although the vaccine is thought to be over 90% efficient in protecting patients, the efficacy or the duration of protection is still unknown. So that's just a very quick overview of mRNA vaccines. I hope you've enjoyed this short video, but it's important to know that although these vaccines offer great hope for the future, we still need to be vigilant. So please keep washing your hands, wear a face mask, and practice social distancing wherever possible. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you.